Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mela on Mars, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make Wicked Whims animations. Obviously not the naughty kind. Where basically I use Wicked Whims animations to animate objects that would be a pain to make into accessories first. So usually that's like cars, motorbikes, stuff like that. And to be fair, any object that's not already an accessory can be used as well. What do I have to say? This tutorial is very meticulous. There are the hardest part is really getting the animation into the Sims and it working properly. So please follow along step by step. I'm going to be making this very detailed, so it is very beginner friendly, even though this is quite an advanced animation stuff, but that's the whole point. I'm here to help y'all. Just a quick disclaimer: when you choose your object, just ensure that you're not re-uploading people's stuff. You don't want to be violating any TOS. I haven't seen anything that says you're not allowed to animate my object, but obviously if you are putting this out for people, make sure you're linking back to the original object on the creators page and you're not including their object in your upload. So sorry, I've got a cold, but yeah, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to everybody. So yeah, I'm gonna be using my favorite car of all time, the Porsche GT3. And yeah, this is by Laurie Sims. I will include the car below because it was free to download, so if you want to follow along using the same car, then by all means. We're probably going to be making a very simple animation, like it just moving forward or backwards, or I haven't even figured out what animation I'm going to do with this yet, but yeah, we're going to just do something really simple. So you should know how to open your object in Sims 4 Studio that you want to use in order to export it. But if you don't know, it would be a case of opening Sims 4 Studio, clicking my projects, and then finding the package file and opening it up. And then once you have the object you want to animate, it will be a case of clicking the object, pressing mesh, and press export mesh, and then saving this somewhere where you can export it. So let me just quickly make some folders to do this animation with. So I've created a Wicked Whims animation tutorial, whatever, and then when you press that export button, this will pop up and you'll just save it. So I'll save it as like Porsche car mesh and press save. Right, so that will export the mesh, and as it's exporting, I'll just explain the things you need. So you need Blender 3.6, you need Sims 4 Studio, the latest version, and you need Sims 4 package editor, the Wicked Whims mod, and you'll probably need Notepad++, but you can, which I would recommend actually, because it's going to be the most easiest thing to read. But you can just edit when it comes to the XML file that we'll talk about later on. Yeah, so I do apologize if anything feels a bit slow, but I really do want to explain each part. This is supposed to be a beginner friendly tutorial, so anybody should be able to do this, even if you're relatively new. But I would advise that you've at least understood how to make animations in general before doing this from my previous tutorials, because there's no point in making a Wicked Whims animation if your animations are stiff and in general, you know what I mean? So if that is something that you're struggling with and your animations themselves are not coming out quite right, I wouldn't jump to this yet. But if you're fairly confident animating, I would say this is the next step. So yeah, let's get into the process. So I've exported that, and what I would do in my Blender is File, Open, and we're gonna open up that blend file. So what did I call this? We're gonna open the blend file. Boom. So here we've got the car. Oh, isn't she pretty? So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to start from our blank rig. So let me open up my rig. So we have our fixated rig that we love so much. And oh my gosh, sorry guys, that was my speaker turning off. So yes, we're going to open up the rig, and what we're going to do is we're going to append the car to animate with. So we're going to go File, Append, and we're going to find where we saved that rig. Not the rig. We're going to find where we saved the car mesh, click it, go down to Object, and then we're going to find the studio meshes. So we have the meshes here. We're going to click 0, shift click 1, and shift click 2. Highlight those and press append. So you want all the meshes to come through, and the car will be in like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to delete things we don't need. So we don't need the bone file, that big bone thing, and we don't need the shadow either, so you can delete that. And what I would say with these, I would just merge them into one. So yeah, I would advise merging it into one so that it's just one mesh. It shouldn't affect anything, so I would just click this, then shift click that, and then come over here and press Ctrl J, and now this is just one whole mesh, right? Great. So now what I would say is, now that you've got your one mesh, this is the mesh's rig, so this is the rig of the car here, and you've got the adult rig. So essentially making a Wicked Whims animation with an object is a case of animating both rigs, kind of like our 2-person tutorial that we had before. So where I was explaining how you animate 2 people, it will be a case of working with both rigs. Now with Sims 4 objects, CC objects, etc., usually their rig is literally like a little dot. It's just like one little point that moves the whole thing. It doesn't usually have controls for each individual aspect. So if we hide our rig adult here, and then we go to the rig, because this is the rig for the car, and we go over to pose mode, when we click that, what we can do is we press A to create everything, select everything, and press G, and as you can see, there's this little dot here. That is the rig for the whole car. It's tiny. So Control Z, anyway, that is what we will be animating, that little dot, and that is gonna control the movements, like, do you know what I mean? So essentially what we're doing is being in pose mode for the car rig, and we're animating that one little dot, and that's gonna be the movement of our object, right? So I think you guys can see where I'm going with this. It would be a case of animating the girl with the car, and then that would be it. Like, that would be your Wicked Whims animation. And then obviously there's all these other processes, but that's basically the starting thing. So you can choose anything. Like, I've seen people animate doors, I've seen people animate windows, and other objects. I'm choosing to do a car because it's only one bone, and I feel like it'll be easier to explain with this. But you can use anything, guys. Like, use any object you want, and it will be a case of that bone. It might be hard to find that bone, so I would always say when you're in pose mode under this rig, just press A and press G, and you'll be able to move it. So let's unhide the girl, and what we're gonna do is we need to animate her in it. So we kind of need to put her into the car and whatnot, get her sitting inside and whatnot. So I'm gonna click the car, go to its rig, we're gonna hide this rig here, and we're gonna press A, make sure we're in pose mode, and press G, and we're gonna move it along the X-axis. So I'll press G, then X to move along the X-axis. Just shift this along a bit. We can unhide this and do the same. So we're just gonna shift it till she's in the driver's seat. Great. This is wonderful. So she's in the driver's seat. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start positioning her. So I'm just gonna press this. It can be a little bit hard to see into the car, so feel free to toggle the car off and kind of, you know, mess around with this until you kind of get her sitting in the car. Once again, if you feel like you want to do this with something else, like, feel free. I'll probably speed past this bit because it is really long, and this isn't even like the most important part, but you should be able to just kind of get my drift. Like you would oh, do you see what I did there? Get my drift with the car. But you get what I'm saying. Like it would be a case of animating the person inside of this car, or animating the person with whatever car or object that you have, like normal. So I'm gonna get her in position, and then I'm gonna come back and speak once she's in position and we start moving the objects. Okay. Right. Okay, now she's in position. So now we're getting to the point where it's time to animate both of them. So what I would say is start with animating. Well, it really just depends on the object you're using. So if it's like a phone or like a gun or something, you're probably gonna have to animate it both rigs at the same time. But this is why choosing the car was the easiest, because it's like you can animate one at a time without kind of being pressured to move them at the same time. But yeah, so now it's a case of animating them both. So what I would do is start with animating the car, and then it would be a case of moving the sim to match where the car is. Once again, we're applying the same principles as last time. We're pose blocking. So yeah, like keep that in mind, that you don't need to be making it step by step. It's a case of this is where it starts, this is where I want it to end, and then creating that in between movement by going to the middle of those two keyframes and moving it some more. So for this, I don't even know what animation to do. I was thinking of making a drift animation. So yeah, I guess I could do that. We can just make her like she's drifting the car. So that's literally like from here to like maybe down here. And so I'll explain to you how I would do it. I would hide the person first, and then I would click the rig of the car and press A so that I actually get the rig. And then I'd press I to lock it in place from the beginning, as we usually do. And so this is where the car will start. And then I'll probably go to like frame, let's say 80. And then I'd press G and Z and move the car to where I want the car to finish. So as you can see, we're literally like animating the car as we would a human. And I would like press R to rotate on the Y axis. So maybe it stops like this. And so what does that look like so far? Press play. Okay, so I don't know what move that is. That looks like a drift stop or something. I mean, I don't know. But obviously I always keep in something to always keep in mind is that sound effects and editing and angles is always going to do it for you. So try not to overcomplicate your animations, and because you know you can always bring them to life through your editing anyway. So yeah, plus this would literally be such a quick clip as well. One thing I would also say is like maybe have the starting bit a bit longer, because what I've noticed with Wicked Whims is that it tends to start with it already moving. So maybe have the 0 keyframe. If we just press the keyframe, copy, come to like 16, paste the same keyframe so that it's kind of stationary for a bit, and then it goes off like this. Okay, and then the animation will probably loop at that point. So yeah, feel feel very free to do whatever you want here if you have a car or any other object, but you understand what I'm saying. Like it's a case of animating the object as if it's a human, basically, with that one bone. What I think is great about this animation is you have to keep in mind your environment as well. So this would probably be an animation done on a straight road, maybe it's at the end of a race or something and they're coming in and they kind of like drift through the finish line, or maybe they're just coming in and they're just drifting around and stopping in front of someone. Honestly, let your imagination go wild, but that's the most basic animation. Maybe you want the spin to start a little earlier, so let's just... Okay, so this is my animation, something really, really simple, just like it's just drifting to a stop there. And feel free to speed this up, but one thing I will say is that don't make your animations way too fast, because then the person tends to lag behind. So just keep it at a reasonable pace. But this is a very, very basic animation, but you know, for the purpose of the video. Okay, so then what I would do after I've animated that is I would go to this last keyframe, 87, and make sure this matches at the end. Then what I would do is I would now move the human to where the car is. So 16 is still there, so I would press A and press I to lock everything into 16. Then at 50, well, in my case it's like 52, I believe, I would go to where it is and I press this root bone and just position my person where the car is, you know? So yeah, it's just a case of like matching it where it is, and then I'd press A just to see all the bones, like where everything is, and then the last bone is 87 where the car is, and once again I click the root bone and then make sure, oh, you know, you might be wondering what I'm doing. I'm just literally moving everything along the axes. So I press G, then I press like X or Z or Y just to move it along the axes. So yeah, we just get it lined up. Might need to be rotated a bit. Okay. So that is literally it. And if we look at the whole animation like this, sorry, the camera's flying all over the place. Let me just do view, frame selected. Okay, now if we look at the animation like this, press play. Okay, so that's my animation so far. And what I like to do is come a bit closer and kind of just go through and check, because sometimes the human might lag a bit, so you might want to pull the human further forward or whatever you need to do to keep her hands on the wheel. But this is good. So now I'm just gonna fly through and kind of refine my animation. Like I said, the animation part isn't the hardest part of Wicked Whims, but you guys get the general thing. Like, you're animating the car's rig, you're animating the human's rig, and you can do this for any object. So yeah, I'm just gonna fly through and refine this. So, oh my gosh guys, I can't believe this. Essentially I thought I was recording, but I was actually paused. So yeah, essentially I finished. Let me go back and do this process again. So I finished my animation. I will show you what it looked like. Okay, so I just thought to myself, oh, it's like she's about to go off and she drifts and there's someone there talking to her, but she's kind of uninterested, and that's just what I got for it. Very, very basic. Okay, now we're gonna be exporting each part. Now, the way you would do it is exactly how you would export regular ones, but you need to really ensure that your rig and your studio mesh is not there. So the car or the object you're using cannot be there at all. So what I would do is I would save this, and then I would press file, save as, and in brackets I would, like, I've already done this off camera, but let's do it again. I would put in, let's say, human, and save, and we would delete the car completely, right? So remember, we've already got the other package that's got, like, we've got the other blend file that's got our saved animation, but we need to do this because if Wicked Whims doesn't recognize two rigs at once, so if you have another rig, even oh my goodness, okay, yeah, if you have multiple rigs in your blend file, even if they're unhidden, like even if they're hidden, it will mess it up. So you need to have only one rig at the end of it saved in a different blend file. Do you catch my drift? So I've saved this as Wicked Whims for the human, and I've deleted the car completely. So I've deleted the car's rig and the body. Now we've just got why is the ankle, sorry guys, now we've just got the human, right? So we'll just do what we always do, which is hide the rig plus adult, unhide the rig adult, click the rig, go to pose mode, press A, keyframe the first, keyframe the last. Ooh. And that's it, that's saved. Okay, we're not going to smooth out all the keyframes for this one because it's a very short animation, but that's it. Control S, we've got the human file done. Then we're going to go back to the file with both, and we're going to do the same for the object that we're animating, and we're going to delete everything that's not the object, because once again, if there's another rig, it's going to conflict. So I would click this, shift click this, press delete, and then I would click this, press delete. All of these stuff will like come out, and I will just press that, shift click this down here. Make sure you're deleting everything but the rig and the mesh that belongs to the object that you are animating. So just delete everything around it, and boom. And we're gonna press file, save as, in brackets, car or something like this, save, and then we're gonna do the same thing, which is making sure that this rig, press A to select the bone, has a keyframe at the beginning and on the very last keyframe. So you want to make sure that the very last keyframe and the very first keyframe are done, and then Control S, and there we have it. We have basically gotten both packages ready for the game, and now the easiest part is done. Now we move on to the harder parts. So we've got that all saved. Let's just, okay, so what I would do is I would create a folder called XML where we're saving all of these things, by the way. These blend.1 files are basically just backup files in case you do something, but I'm gonna delete those. So yes, make a folder called XML. But yes, so we've basically gotten both packages ready for the game. What we're gonna move on to now is basically getting the files we need. So guys, you have to follow me to the T with this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to open Sims 4 Studio, and we're going to create an animation like we normally would, right? So but this file is not that important, so I would just put here, and I would say empty Wicked Whims, I don't know, anim file, just put whatever it is, the drift stop anim empty. To explain why we're doing this, bear with me guys, stay with me here. When you create an animation for the game and whatnot, it creates its own XML, right? But we're basically overriding that XML with a Wicked Whims one so that it will behave the way we want it to. So we kind of have to create this kind of fake package and then open it up in package editor and replace the XML. Does that make sense? So I feel like that was the best I could explain that. So we're gonna go through this process like normal. We're gonna call this drift car, and we'll put in brackets car, and then we will import the car animation, and then we'll add new and we'll say drift car female or human. We could just put human, and then we'll import and we'll press the human, and then we'll save. So we've created our empty and you know where it is now. And then what we're gonna need next, so save that, yeah? Now next, the next step is we need a particular code for when we're creating the XML file. So what we need to do is we need the car code, we need the location, the Wicked Whims information for the car. So what we need to do is we need to open up our game and find the car we're using in game. So I'm about to open my game and I will meet you in game. Okay, welcome back. We're in my game. Ignore the bases. But yeah, this is the car. And what we would do is we need a code from this for the XML file. So what we would do is shift click, go to Wicked and display object information. Now this will pop up, and what you need to do is you need to write down this code here. This is how Wicked Whims can identify the object that we're using. So get a pen and paper and we'll just put the WWID, and in this case it is 346 7 222 731. So this is very important. Once you have that, I'm not gonna lie, the game is not necessary anymore. But yeah, so I hope you've written that down, and now we're gonna move on to actually building the XML. So I will put a link to this below, but this is where we get the template for the XML file. What we would do is we'll come down here, and I would recommend getting the commented template. We'll right click, save link as, and then we will go to our tutorial, and in this XML file we created, I would just press save. Okay, so I also told you to get Notepad++. What we need to do is open this in the folder, edit with Notepad++, but that's if you've downloaded Notepad++. So yeah, you would edit that and this should open. So now we are in the Wicked Whims tuning files, and this is where we put all the animation information in order to create the final package file. Now I know this looks very confusing, very overwhelming. I just need you to take a deep breath and we're gonna go through this. Just ignore all of that. So first things first, let's close this down. What we need to do is we need some codes, right? So we need to open up Sims 4 Studio, come over to tools and come down to hash generator, right? So I need you guys to literally follow this to a T. Ow, I pulled my nose ring. Follow this to a T. Where it says this text, it's going to be the name of what you're going to call your animation. So the format I would do it in is like here, recommended naming your name, Wicked Whims Animations. I would go Mela underscore, I don't know, Porsche animation. Okay, remember what you've put here, because you're gonna probably have to use this everywhere to make this work. So I would start off with a name like that, and then I'll copy this FNV64 on hexadecimal. I'll press copy that, Control C, and then where we have this XML, you want to right click, rename it, and replace these last zeros, Control V. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 now, open Sims 4 package editor, right? So let me open Sims 4 package editor. Okay, so I've opened Sims 4 package editor, and we're gonna press File, Open, and what we're gonna open is that empty that we made. So this drift stop animation empty that we made, you're gonna open that, and that's gonna come up with all this stuff. Now what we need here are the clips. So you wanna click clip and down to this CLHD, shift click, right click, and press export to file. So we need to export these files to create our Wicked Whims package. So we're gonna once again put this in the same place we've been putting everything, and I would probably make a new folder and call it exported clips and export those there. Then what we're gonna do is press File, New. So this is going to be our new Wicked Whims, and we're going to press Import from File, Exported Clips, and we're going to select all our exported clips and press OK, Import. Great. So what we've done is we've taken our clips from the empty, and now we're building our Wicked Whims file. So with these clips here, it'll be great to rename them to make it a bit more visible. So what we can do is if we scroll down here, we can actually see under source asset name what clip is for which. So this is for the car, meaning that this clip must be for the human, right? You can see it here, drift stop animation human. That's what we call the blend file, the blender file. This is really important. What we need to do now is we can delete this XML, because obviously we're creating our own XML. So we can click that and press delete, and it will cross it out. Now back to the XML. If we open this with Notepad, we open up here. So where this hash generator is, where we put in our name, here where it says your name, your package name, we're going to copy this that we put in here, and we're going to paste this under our name, right? And then where it says S here, we come back to the hash generator, go over to decimal, and copy this number under FNV64. Okay, just make sure that this is perfect. Great. Now we're getting into the information for the XML for our animation. So this is a commented document, so it kind of helps you through it, but I'm still going to go through each piece, right? So for the raw display name, remove if using, you would just put this what you want it to appear in game. So for example, I've made a Porsche animation, so I just want it to be called Porsche, like drift stop, Porsche drift stop, okay? And then we can remove this. So we would select all of this row and press backspace, backspace. And then my name is Mela. And then where is our anime location? So because it's not in one of these categories, we're just gonna put none. And then where it says custom locations, we need that wwid that we wrote down before. So we need this code that we wrote down before here under wwid. So I would type this in. This is really important. Select everything in there and type in, so in my case it was 346 7222 731. And then I would remove the constraints and this stuff here, the geometry state and material state, you can delete. Now, where it says object animation clip name, that's why we need to come over here, find the one that has the car in it. And this is the animation object clip name. So the clip name here, we can see is here. You would copy all of this, Control C, and you would paste it in here where it says clip name. Okay. Now where it says the category, obviously we ain't doing all of that freaky stuff, so we'll just put it in the teasing. We're gonna remove the tags because we don't have any. We're gonna loop it, I always put around 5 times. And we're gonna remove this negative duration offset. Now we can also remove these bits, the stage names and the next stages. Remove it. And then we want to disallow for random, so we'll change this 1 to 0. Now we're moving on to the humans. So we need the animation clip name for the human here. So we go back to package editor, go to the clip where it has the human, and we would copy the clip name here, Control C, and we would paste it here in animation clip name. Once again, we're in the teasing category, so we put teasing in there. And here, what I would put is like male or female. So I made it for a female, and here I would put both for preferred. Actually, it's the other way around. I would put both here, and then I would put like male here. It doesn't really matter. It just makes sure that both genders can use the animation, I guess. Let's see. So naked type, I would change this to none because we don't want them getting naked. And all of this positioning, I would delete as well. But this really depends because it's like if your characters maybe moved a bit to like, you know what, just delete this, bro. You will see in game if things need to be moved on the XYZ, but even I don't quite understand that, so yeah, just remove that for now. I would say it's not hella important. Remove the tag, so anything that says remove if unused, if you haven't had to change it, remove it, bro. So we'll change the actor tags, remove that. Now down here, this is actor interaction. So this is if it's an animation for multiple people, but because it's for one person, we can just ignore this part. But essentially what this would be is if you had another person, so it was 2 people, this would be for the second person. So you would talk about, you know, it's the receiving actor, the second person, the category, etc, etc. But this is a single animation, so, but I would just put this to like disabled, and I would put this to teasing. And then this would obviously be for the second person, but since this is a 1-person animation, what we can do is select this from here all the way down to here and delete all of this because we don't need any second people. As for the props, we don't have any props, so once again we'll come under here where it says start of prop, select it, go to the end of prop, delete. We don't have any events, which is like water coming out or anything, so we'll just come to this bit here, select it from start, and then we can scroll down to the end of event entry and delete this. Okay, I hope you guys have been following on to a T. Okay, now that is our XML file done. You can press Ctrl S and we've saved it. And that has to be one of the hardest parts. I think that's probably the hardest part, the XML. Anyway, what we're doing here is, now that we've got that XML saved and closed, you'll come back to here where you created your new one and import from file, and we will find our XML here and we will import it. Just press OK. And this is the new XML. You can see all the information here. Now, this is great. This is great. Now we will press File, Save As, and we will save it in our mods folder. And once again, I would probably use the name in the hash generator and just call it that, honestly, and press Save. Now this is saved. Great. Now we can test it out in game. So let's get back in game and I'll see you in a second. Okay, welcome back. We're in my game and I have my very, very cute Sim. Look at her. She's gonna be demonstrating this. So yeah, it worked, guys. So it should, if you followed all the steps, it should have worked. If I press Wicked, Teasing, and push Drift Stop. Here we go. Look at that. Hey. It worked, guys. So, and that will loop. And there we go. Well, that is it. Thank you if you made it to this far. Like, oh, not the Sims walking in the background. What are they even wearing, bro? What has this one got on, bro? What have they got on? But if you made it this far, thank you very much. Honestly, I was so stressed at the idea of teaching you guys how to do this, but maybe I was overreacting because it all went without a hitch, you know? Once again, if you have any issues, you know, you can let me know in the comment section or add me on Discord and I'm more than happy to help. But yeah, like, it went so well. Not me being I shouldn't be shocked because it's like a tutorial, like really and truly, you know, it's meant to work. But yes, guys, do let me know. And I think after this, what was my plan? To do like a mini tutorial on props, because I don't feel like that takes too long in terms of like normal accessory props and animating with those. And this is the hardest it gets, guys. So if you can do this, honestly, you can do anything. You know, but yeah, peace out, bye.